let's get started with the announcement for this week and next week. I just want you guys to know what's coming up. So this week, you are not going to give a formal speech for chapter 3, but we're going to prepare for the speech. So we're going to start with choosing a topic and kind of organizing our ideas. And then next week, you're going to practice and then present your speech on the topic that you chose. Next week, again, is just like we've done before. It's the third week of this chapter. So you will have your lab assignment due next Friday. You also have your chapter 3 quiz and then the practice speech. My advice I want to just throw out there, you guys can do your lab assignment early if you want. You can do it this week, and then if you would like, you can focus more on the practice speech next week. But you guys are doing really good with turning in stuff, so I'm not worried about you getting your work done. But I just want to let you know what's coming up. So this week and next week, we're going to be focusing on using visual aids in our speeches. And I think in a normal classroom, it might be a little bit easier. But because it's online, we have to practice using some of this technology. And I think it's good for us because you guys can kind of stretch your skills and grow and learn about technology at the same time you're practicing your speaking and pronunciation, organization of speech, and all that. So today we'll look at that a little bit more. Just to let you know, I posted a short 3-minute video in today's lesson, and it's lesson number 3 of the chapter 3 folder. And the video just shows you how to go to GoReact and how to upload a PowerPoint presentation. It has to be converted to PDF file, and sometimes that can be confusing, but I did it, and if I can do it, I think anybody can do it because I'm not very good with technology. So I just posted that little video to show you where to click and what to do. And this week, like I said, is just practicing, just kind of play around with GoReact and see how things work. And then next week, you can actually record your speech. Now, remember, if you come to class to our video lesson and you give your speech, you do not need to go to the GoReact and give your chapter 3 practice speech. Okay, so it's either or. So if you want to give it during the class time, then you will have to use the share file menu, which is on the bottom right of the Collaborate screen. Okay, so you guys can just decide what you're going to do and then try out the technology. So, any questions about this week and next week and what's coming up?
No, teacher.
Okay, I'm excited. Let's go ahead and start with number 1 on the screen. What kind of speech have we been looking at in chapter 3? I kind of introduced the idea last week. So, Carolina, did you watch the videos, the lessons? Do you remember what kind of speech we're doing in chapter 3?
The last video, it was about the word, like when the noun and the verb, like decrease.
Oh, you're talking about the stress.
Yes.
Okay, yes, we did talk about stress, like decrease and decrease, decrease and decrease, convict and convict. Okay, and that is something we talked about. Yes, that's in your book. That kind of exercise will be on your chapter 3 quiz, but I'm talking about the speaking task for this chapter. Do you remember what it was? We talked a little bit about it last week, and I gave a little demonstration in my PowerPoint about transportation. Remember I talked about transportation? You forgot, right? And that's okay. It's been several days since our last class. Okay, well, let me just tell you. We are working on a problem solution speech. Okay, problem solution speech. If you look on page 73, the speaking task for this chapter is at the top in the red, by the red lines. It says, give a presentation on a transportation problem and suggest solutions to solve the problem. Okay. For you guys, you do not have to choose a transportation problem. Okay. I don't want you to be limited by a certain small category of topic. Okay. But you do need to pick something that is a problem and then offer some kind of solutions. Okay. So it could be, I gave examples last week. You could have the problem of I need a job, right? I'm running out of money. I don't have a job. I need a job. That could be a problem. And you can present several solutions on how to get a job. You could choose something like there's too many dogs, stray dogs in my neighborhood, or there's too much trash on the street. Or something related to COVID-19 as well, right? Like our economy is suffering. That's a problem. What are some solutions? So you can think a bit about a big problem like that our country is facing, or it could be a smaller problem like you and your personal life. It could be anything, but it needs to be a present problem or it could be a future problem. So for more ideas, and I'll refer you over to page 68. At the top of page 68, we talked about number 1 and number 3. So number 1 is for the present. What problems does your city have? Okay, it doesn't have to just be transportation. It could be something else. What problems are there in your city? And number 3, another idea would be think of a challenge you might face in the future. What do you need to what do you need to figure out to solve it? So you could think of now or the future, okay? And that's what we're looking at. This week you need to pick a topic and then start preparing for it. And next week you're going to give the speech and presentation either here in the Collaborate class meeting or in Go React under the Chapter 3 speech. Okay, does that make sense, Carolina?
Yes, teacher. Oh, I thought it was for Wednesday, this Wednesday, or it's going to be until next week.
Well, you're actually going to give the speech next week.
Oh, okay.
Each chapter that we study, we take 3 weeks to study each chapter. So I want us to do the chapter speeches on the 3rd week.
Okay, teacher.
Yeah, so we kind of keep it organized. This week is the 2nd week, so we're just preparing. And for homework, you're going to listen to an example speech, and after you listen to it, it will give you some ideas on how you can prepare for your speech. So we still need time to get ready for that. So Carolina, do you remember anything about the problem solution speech? And there's 3 parts to the speech. Now we know that we need the main idea, we need supporting sentences, and we need the conclusion. Okay, so we know we need those three parts. But specifically with a problem solution speech, there are three things we need to include in the speech. Do you remember what they are?
The problem, solutions, and results.
Good. So one problem, okay,
Okay.
it can only be one problem, and then you need to have several solutions. Several would be two or three, okay? And then predicted, I use the term predicted results of those solutions, okay? Predicted results of the solution. So what will happen if people follow your solution? Or what will happen if your solution happens? Okay, so we kind of have a cause effect. This speech is kind of interesting because it's problem solution, and then it's also cause effect. So the solution is the cause, and then you got to talk about what the effects will be. How will this problem be solved? What will be better? Okay, and so I think it will be good practice for us. And we're going to use visual aids. So we'll have either a picture or some type of words typed up on a PowerPoint to help the listener follow along with your speech. Okay. So that's my next question. Did you do a practice PowerPoint? I asked the class if you have time to do like a little practice PowerPoint. Did you do one?
Like for today?
Yeah.
No, teacher.
And you're the only student in the class, so don't feel bad. Everybody else is like, oh, good. At least I'm not in class. I know I didn't do it either. Yeah, I didn't expect everybody to do it, but it was kind of an option. It depends on how much you already know about PowerPoint. So if you don't know anything, you don't know how to use it, now is the time to get into it. Open a PowerPoint document and begin to look around on how to create a PowerPoint. So for our speech, it was going to be 3 to 4 minutes, a little bit longer than our last one. And I want you to have at least four visuals, four slides, four pictures, four of something to keep us interested and engaged in the speech. So we can continue working on that. The more work you do this week, the better it will be when you're doing your speech next week. Okay, because
Okay.
this is your time to ask questions and say, hey, I tried this, but it didn't work, or whatever you need to do. I want to, in just a moment, I will show you how to share your PowerPoint in Collaborate here. And then, as I said before, I posted a video in the lesson folder that shows you how to share your PowerPoint in the Go React video recording. Okay, so let's look at number 3. And Carolina, you're going to help me with this. It says, which of these statements is a problem, which is a solution, and which is a predicted result? So remember, we talked about the three parts of the speech that we
Yes.
need to give. So each one of these is an example sentence that represents these three parts. So can you tell me which one is the problem, or which one should go first?
Yes. The problem is there's too much trash on my street. The
Okay.
solution, each resident of the neighborhood should take turns once a month and clear up on our street. And predicted result, everyone will be less likely to throw trash around.
That is correct. Good job. And welcome, Alan. I see you just joined us.
Yes, hi.
We're just doing a little warm-up activity here to review the type of speech that we need to do for Chapter 3. So what we have here, the problem is there's too much trash on my street. This is just an example, right? I'm letting you choose your own topic as long as it's a problem, a current or a future problem, right? And it has solutions. So that's what we're looking for. Problem. Here's an example. There's too much trash on my street. Solution. Each resident should take turns and clean up our street. This is one solution, okay? For your speech, you need to have at least two. But after your solution, you give a result. So what will happen if everybody follows my solution? The result will be everyone will be less likely to throw trash around, right? Because if everybody's taking time to clean up the street, then they will be less likely to actually throw stuff on the street. Okay, so that's an example. Good job. Any questions?
No, teacher.
Okay, good. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at comparative and superlative adjectives. These will help you when you're describing the problem and also describing solutions. So we'll look at those a little bit later. And first, we need to check our homework on page 67. The vocabulary on page 67. So let's go to that. Okay, so after we check homework, then I will show you guys how to do PowerPoint in Collaborate, like I promised, okay? So let's check this. We're on page 67, so I'm going to zoom in on my camera here, and we're looking at the top on the right side. The top right side of the screen here. Okay, so does anybody have the answers here? Number one, the word is control. Have the answer, anybody?
Yes, teacher.
Go ahead.
I read stories of people who managed to control their fear of flying to limit the number or amount of something.
Good. Letter B, to limit the number or amount of something. That's control. Okay, good. And number two, anybody have that one? Carolina, do you have this one?
The answer is important, bad.
Yes, serious. So serious means important or urgent. It doesn't always have to be bad, but it just means you need to pay attention to it, okay? But in this sentence, in the context, it would be, yes, something that's bad or important. So number two is A, and I'll give you the rest of the answers. Number three, C. Solve means to find a way to fix a problem. Number four is C, fear. Number five, A. So impact means effect. Okay, so I could say having children has impacted my life in a big way. It has affected my life. So five is A. Number six is also A. Method means a way of doing something. Number seven is B. Figure out means to think about a problem until you know the answer. And number eight, A. Influence means to affect how someone acts or thinks. So let's practice pronunciation while we're here. You might want to include some of these words in your speech. So let me show you how to pronounce them. I'm going to say it and you guys repeat after me. Control.
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 Good. Serious.
Serious.
Good.
Serious.
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 Good. Okay, next one. Solve.
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 Trouble.
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 Good. Impact.
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 Method.
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 Figure out.
Figure out.
out.
Good. And then the last one, influence.
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 Okay, guys. Very good. Let's go to comparative and superlative adjectives next. So turn the page. Look at page 68. I believe that was your only homework, right? Did I give you guys anything else? I don't think I did.
It was only that page, teacher.
That page, and I said do a PowerPoint for practice, but that was optional. Okay, so let me share my screen with you, and then I'll show you on my screen really quickly how to set up PowerPoints. If you want to on Wednesday, you can show us your PowerPoint just to make sure it works. But if you're on my screen, I've already given you guys permissions to be able to use these applications on the right side. So you open it with the purple control panel, and then you click on this box with the arrow, share files, and then you should be able to click on share your screen. Okay. That's one way to share your screen when you're giving a presentation here. You can also click on share files, and when you do that, you add the file from your computer. So I already see it pulls up your computer files. I already added my presentation. So if I click on this, well, this is not a presentation. It's actually the answer key. But once you've added it here, then you click on it and you click share now. So that's how you would present your PowerPoint slides next week if you would like to do it during class. Okay. So that's that. Let's go to my PowerPoint, which I'm just sharing my screen for this one. And let's talk about comparatives. Okay, so have either of you taken a grammar class before? Anybody taken a grammar class?
Me.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, you took one on non-credit ESL.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. Carolina, what about you?
No, teacher.
Okay, so if you've taken a grammar class before, you've probably seen this in there. This is a common topic. They're called comparatives. And so I want to talk to you about what these are. Comparatives are a type of adjective where we're describing two things and we're looking at how the two things are different or how they are sort of the same, but focusing on how each one is a little bit different. So for example, my sister and I are very alike, but she is taller than me. So I'm comparing our height, how tall we are. So I would use a comparative taller, and I use it with than. So look at these two examples. The trash on my street is worse than the trash in my mom's neighborhood. So where's the comparative word?
Then,
Then, yeah.
Okay,
Then.
than is an important part of the sentence to show that we're comparing. Yes. Do you see the comparative adjective? Which one is an adjective?
worse,
Yes. Worse is an adjective because it's describing things. Okay, in this case, we're describing the street, the trash on the street, actually. Okay, so the condition of the trash, that's what we're describing. Than is not an adjective, okay, but it is used with the comparative adjective to reinforce that we are comparing two things. So on the left side of the than, you have one thing, the trash on my street. On the right side of than, we have the other thing we're comparing, which is the trash in my mom's neighborhood. So we've got two things. We've got the comparative adjective worse, and we also have than, okay? Where does worse come from? What is the basic noun? Or I said noun, the basic adjective. Does anybody know?
Like bath is not the
Yes.
base.
Yes. Good. Very good, Alan. Worse comes from bad. Bad is an irregular adjective because normally we might just add er to the word. Like if I said taller, it comes from tall, right? Bigger comes from big. But worse is different because bad is the adjective and worse is the comparative adjective of bad. Okay. So I showed you this example because some of them are irregular. In your book, in the orange box, page 68, do you see the comparative adjective they use? The first one is greener with the ER. Okay, that is kind of a normal comparative. We just add ER to the adjective green. The second one is scarier. So scary is an adjective, and we add the IER to make it comparative. Okay, so the one I'm showing you on my screen is the irregular one. It doesn't really fit with the rules, the ER rule. Okay, let's look at the second one. The houses in my city are more expensive than the houses in Aledo. More expensive than the houses in Aledo. Okay, who can tell me what the comparative adjective is?
Expensive.
Okay, expensive is the regular adjective, but how do we know it's a comparative?
Because we have the other word that is than, expensive than.
Okay, we have expensive than. So can I say the houses in my city are expensive than the houses in Aledo?
No, it doesn't make sense, I think.
Yeah, it still
More, we
doesn't.
need more.
Yeah, there you go. So look in the orange box again. Do you see the third example? Driving is more affordable than flying. The comparative adjective now is two words, more affordable. We need to have both of those because the more is a comparative part. Just like ER is a comparative part, okay? It's like a signal. So we have to have more, and we also have to have the adjective. But we can't just pick one or the other. We cannot say the houses in my city are expensive than. We need to have that comparative word more along with the adjective expensive. Okay, so here's a big question I have. Why do we need to use more for the third example in your book, but we don't use more for the first two? like greener and scarier?
Because we use the base form of the verb.
Now, wait a second. Hold on. Are we talking about verbs? Because the verb is.
I mean the adjective.
Okay, so you're using the base adjective like green, scary.
Yeah,
But
no, the
yeah.
third. The
Oh,
third.
okay,
Yeah.
affordable. Okay, affordable. So why can't I just say driving is affordabler with ER, affordabler than flying?
I don't
Nobody
know.
knows. Too much silence there. Okay, the reason is because of the length of the adjective. Affordable. Affordable. How many syllables does that have? Affordable.
4.
4. It's got 4 syllables. So when we have an adjective that has 2 or more syllables in the base form of the adjective, okay, we need to add more to show that it's comparative. We're not going to use ER, okay? So let's compare. Let's look at green and scary. Green is 1 syllable. Scary is 2 syllables. Now, those 2 syllable ones, they're kind of, sometimes they go with more, like more scary, and sometimes they go with the ER, is scarier. So a lot of times when you've got 2 syllables, you can choose either way to use the comparative, or sometimes there's like one way that's preferred, okay? But if you have 3 syllables or 4 syllables on the adjective, you definitely want to use the word more to get comparative. Okay? Is everybody good on that one? Does everybody get that?
Yes.
Questions?
No.
Oh, okay. So let's go to my question on the screen. In each example above, you can see there are 2 things that are being compared. What are they? What are we, well, I already told you the first one. The second one, what are we comparing in the second sentence with the houses in my city are more expensive? What 2 things are we comparing?
The houses in my city and the houses in Aledo.
Alito, that is correct.
Mhm.
So we've always got 2 things that we're comparing, and we use a comparative form in the middle. So in the first example, it's trash here and trash at my mom's house. In the second example, the prices of houses here, the price of houses in Alito. Okay? And 2 more notes just to remind you, adjectives with ER, if it's a short adjective. Cheaper than, bigger than, taller than. Can I say more cheaper than?
No.
Yeah, that's correct. So my cell phone is more cheaper than Alan's cell phone. No. So this is one of the number one problems that language learners make or do. They try to use more with the ER. Okay? And we can't do that. It's only one or the other. So my cell phone is cheaper than Alan's cell phone. Okay? There's no more because I have ER. The second point here under that, you can use more with a long adjective. More expensive than. Um, So Alan's phone is more expensive than my phone. Okay. And then, so let's practice a little bit. I've got some comparative adjectives down at the bottom, and I want each of you to choose one and make your own sentence. Just whenever you're ready, just pick one and make your own sentence.
Like cheaper, nicer, cleaner, or just the three that are together. More, better, and worse.
Any of those. Cleaner,
Oh,
more expensive, you can do better, nicer, worse, anything you want. Whenever you're ready. Do you guys want to try?
yes. I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead, Alan.
Okay, the education in the US are more expensive than the education in Mexico.
Okay, good. That's almost perfect, except your verb, you used are. So
Is
education is singular, so we need to use is. So say it again.
okay. The education in the US, no, I said like no, the education in Mexico is no. The education in the US is more expensive than in Mexico.
Okay, so the education in the United States is more expensive than the education in Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah, good. One little thing, be careful with my Spanish speakers. I want you guys to be careful with than. So than is not the same as that. And when you translate to Spanish, you have the same word que, the QUE. But in English, that QUE sometimes is going to be that, and sometimes will be than. In this case, we have to use than. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's a little bonus for my Spanish speakers. Thankfully, I know Spanish a little bit, so I can catch like the reasons why some of you might make those mistakes. So we're using than, not that. Okay, that's a good example. More expensive than. Okay, Carolina, do you have an example?
Yes. My new neighbors are nicer than my old neighbors.
Yes, that's perfect. Are nicer than my old neighbors. Good. Okay, I will give an example. My room is cleaner than my child's room. Okay, cleaner than. So good job. All right, let's talk about superlatives next. So we're still on page 68 in the orange box, but we're going to look at the bottom of the box where it says superlative adjectives describe how what? Who can finish the sentence for me?
Describe how a person or a thing is different from all others.
Okay, so I want you to circle that. All others. Okay, for comparatives, remember we said two things, how two things are different. So we can circle two things on comparatives. For superlatives, we need to look at how something is different from all the others in that category. Okay, so for example, in my house, we have 3 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, 2 bathrooms. Okay, so we've got 7 rooms. My room is cleaner than my child's room. I'm using 2 rooms, right? Okay. If I want to use a superlative, I will say my room is the cleanest room in the house. So in my house, that's all the rooms. That's 7 rooms. So you see a superlative means one thing is the extreme of a group, a large group of things. So the cleanest, there's only one room that's the cleanest. There's one room that's the dirtiest. Okay? Those are like the extremes. And in the middle are all the other rooms. Kind of clean or kind of dirty. Okay, so look at my example on the screen. We've got my house is the smallest house on my street. So I'm not comparing 2 things. I'm comparing one thing with a lot of other things. So maybe 10 houses on my street. My house is the smallest. Okay, so there's no other houses that are smaller than my house on my street. The second example, my neighbor's dogs are the loudest and the most disruptive dogs in my neighborhood. Okay, so how do we have a superlative here? There's actually 2 superlatives in number 2. Can you guys find the superlatives?
Smallest.
Smallest is in number 1. Okay, what about number 2? Or the second example?
Loudest.
The loudest. Okay, do I have another one?
Most disruptive.
Good. The most disruptive. Disruptive means they disturb. They distract you. They make a lot of noise or damage things. You know, that would be disruptive. Okay. So we have the loudest. We also have most disruptive. So notice here we don't have an ER and we don't have more, right? Because those go with a comparative. For a superlative, it's different. What we need to have is the word the. Okay, we always have the with a superlative. Notice I do not say my neighbor's dogs are loudest. I have to say the loudest, the smallest, okay? The most disruptive. So we've got the word the, and then we have the regular adjective with est, or sometimes just the st. Or we can have the most and then a long adjective. Okay, so it's the same type of rule. If you look on page 68, notice the greenest, the scariest, and the most affordable. So you can compare more affordable and the most affordable. Both of those adjectives are long adjectives, so that's why we're not going to use the st at the end of affordable. We're going to use the word most. Okay, anybody have questions about that?
So,
No.
teacher, we must use most, right? And the superlative adjectives. We can use more.
Yeah, we cannot use more with
Okay.
superlatives. Like I cannot say that movie was more scariest than another movie. No. So we're not going to mix the top with the bottom. We've got to keep it consistent, okay? So look at some more examples I put on the screen here. The biggest, the most active, the least expensive. These are more examples. Now I've added for biggest, notice that the spelling changes a little bit. We added the GG, right? Double G. And then the most active has 2 syllables. And remember I said when we talked about comparatives, a lot of times those 2-syllable words will take either using most, more, or using the ER or the EST. This is one of the words that we want to keep it with most, okay? So my daughter is the most active child of all my kids, okay? So we would use that. Another example, which is not in your book, but you can use a superlative with the least. Least is the opposite of most, okay? The least expensive. So who wants to try these examples? I've got worst, which comes from bad. I've got least comfortable, and then I also have most expensive. Can someone give me an example sentence?
The biggest room in my house is mine.
Yes, you can say it like that. The biggest room in my house is mine. Good.
That's all good. Just to
Yeah, just a sentence. Okay, Carolina, what about you?
Fort Worth is the safest city in Texas.
Okay, so let's look at that one. You said Fort Worth is the safetiest city in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Safetiest. Okay, is safety, is that a noun or an adjective? Safety.
Adjective.
Nope, it's actually a noun. Actually, I think that's one of your words in this chapter. Let's go back to the beginning of the chapter. That's one of your vocabulary words. Look on page 63. Page 63 in the middle of the box, it says in the vocabulary words, we have safety, and it has an N next to it, which means it's a noun. Okay, so what is the adjective? Because we need to know what the adjective is before we can make a superlative. So who can tell me what the adjective is? Alan, do you know? It's not safety.
save.
Safe. S-A-F-E. Good.
Yeah.
So for safe, we're going to add the ST.
Saves.
So safest.
Oh, safest.
It already has the E at the end, but we pronounce the E, and then we say the ST. Safest. Okay. So Carolina, can you say your sentence again?
Yes. Fort Worth is the safest city in Texas.
Yes, Fort Worth is the safest city in Texas. That's a great sentence. Okay, good job. Any questions about superlatives?
No.
Okay, good. Well, we've got a little extra time, so let's go to vocabulary, and I'm going to get you guys set up to do your listening activity for homework. So let's kind of get it started here. Page 70, preparing to listen. So at the top it says you're going to listen to a presentation about biking to work. Before you listen, complete the definitions. Okay, so let's do a couple of these together, and then I want to skip down to the bottom and do a little discussion time. So let's think about biking to work. And remember, we can use some of our superlatives and comparatives, right? So number 1 says, did you injure your knee when you fell off your bike? So what does injure mean?
It is like a damage.
Yeah, damage, to hurt or cause physical harm. The thing about injure is it's only for physical harm. So you injure a person. We can't injure a car, but we can damage a car. I cannot injure my phone, but I can damage my phone. Okay? So damage is more general meaning. Injure is just for people. So look down at the ABCD part. Where do you think is the definition of injure?
And letter C.
Yes, letter C. So
Physical.
yeah, so we can write the word injure next to letter C. Injure is a verb, and it means to hurt or cause physical harm. Okay, let's do number 2 together, and then you guys can do the rest for homework. But number 2, drivers should always have respect for pedestrians and stop for them. Respect. Can anybody find the definition at the bottom?
Polite behavior towards someone. D.
Yes, letter D, polite behavior. Good. Okay, so you guys are going to finish those for homework. Let's do a little discussion time. Since we're here, we can practice speaking English. Use, on my screen here, use comparatives or superlatives to talk about advantages and disadvantages to riding a bike to work. So let's think about why people ride to work, right? Probably the biggest reason people ride to work is to get exercise. What's another reason that somebody might ride to work? Ride their bike to work.
Because it is cheaper than take another transportation method.
Good. That's a good example of a comparative. So the only thing you need to do is make the verb form into a gerund. So you'll say, it is cheaper than taking another form of transportation. So we use taking. So riding a bike to work is cheaper than riding in a car or taking a car or bus to work. Okay, that's a good example. So some people do it to be healthy, some people do it to save money. Another reason might be to reduce the carbon footprint, as we say, or reduce what do they call it? The burning of gas, which causes pollution. So those are 3 reasons right there. Carolina, can you use an adjective like safe or dangerous or expensive? Can you use a word and give a sentence in a comparative or a superlative?
Mm,
You can use safe or dangerous.
Driving a bike is the greenest.
Yeah. And we're going to say riding a bike.
Right.
Riding, because when you drive, it's with gasoline.
Okay.
So riding a bike is the greenest way to get to work. Or we could say riding a bike is the most environmentally friendly way to get to work. Okay. My example on the screen, biking to work is the healthiest way to get to work. Okay. Anybody have another idea? Maybe something that is negative, a disadvantage. Disadvantage to riding a bike to work. Any ideas for that one?
Like riding a bike is more dangerous than driving a car. Oh no, you already used that, right?
No, we said riding a bike is, you said cheaper than taking a car. But yours is a new sentence, so that's a good one. You said riding a bike is more dangerous than what?
Than driving a car.
Yes, than driving a car. More dangerous than driving a car. That's a good example. Yeah. So there's advantages and disadvantage. An advantage would be that it's healthier and it's less expensive. Disadvantage would be it's more dangerous. What could be another disadvantage maybe of riding a bike? It's dangerous because you don't have all that protection that you need. Could there be another disadvantage? What do you think?
It's not the faster transportation we
Yeah,
have.
yeah, that's a good point. So how can we say that? Let's think of an adjective like slow.
Okay, riding a bike is the slower. No, it's the slowest. If I wanna superlative adjective,
Yeah.
lowest is the
Superlative.
slowest. Is the slowest?
Yeah,
Okay, biking is the slowest transportation method.
good. That's good. Biking is the slowest, or we can use like on my screen here, biking to work is the slowest way to get to work.
Okay.
Well, actually, maybe walking would be the slowest.
Yeah, that's true.
It would probably take me how many hours to walk to TCC? I would guess probably 10 to
Uh,
12 hours to walk to TCC. Right, from my house. So the slowest way to get to work, yeah. Biking to work is slower than driving to work. Okay. Can you think of any other disadvantages? Let's think about you get ready, you get up, you get ready for work, right? Get dressed, and you get on your bike and you pedal, pedal, pedal for 20 minutes. What happens when you get to work? Are you,
a
yeah, you're
mess.
messy, you're probably sweaty. So maybe you need to take a shower at work, but not all places of work have shower facilities. So that would be another disadvantage. Just your appearance, your hair is probably all messed up. You've got maybe a sunburn. um, so there's those physical disadvantages, okay, to actually being at work and um, not looking the best. When you guys do the listening part, you're going to hear several more disadvantages that I think are kind of interesting. So your homework is on page 71. You guys are going to listen to the presentation about the problems and solutions of using taking bikes to work. So you guys will do that. And then when we come back to class on Wednesday, we'll do a little discussion about that. So that's really it for today. We kind of finished early. Let me see. I think I have, yeah, it's right here. So any questions before I give you your homework?
No.
Any questions, things that we need to talk about?
No, teacher. All's fine with
Okay.
me.
Okay, everything's pretty chill today. So here's your homework. I want you to explore in the Go React link in the lesson folder. Okay, so here's what I did in our lesson folder. I have lesson textbook assignment number 3, and in that assignment section, I have a link to a video that you can click on, and it will show you how to use PowerPoint in a Go React video. And then under that assignment, you will see it says explore Go React. If you click on that title, it will open up a Go React page, but it's not an assignment. It's not something you have to do. What I want you to do is kind of go in there and click on things to be more familiar with what to click on to find your presentation and upload it. So it's kind of like a practice area. So I posted that in the lesson folder. It's on textbook assignment 3, and then right under that, explore Go React. Those two things you're going to open and read and do for homework. And your goal is to try to upload a PDF file into the Go React place. Now, if you're sure that you want to give your presentation speech in our video chat time, video lesson time next week, you don't need to do the Go React thing, okay? But if you're not sure, you might use Go React or you might do it in our class, then go ahead and do that kind of practice so that you're familiar with that. And I already have a little short video that I posted in there. It's kind of funny, actually, because I wanted to see how to do it too. So I went in there and posted something. Okay, so that's the homework. Play around with that for practice, and then do page 68 and 69, which is the superlative comparative practice. And then finish page 70 and do pages 71 and 72. So you're listening to a good problem solution speech. And something I want you to do while you're listening, okay? Take your time. If you have to listen a couple of times, that's okay. I want you to listen for what words the speaker uses in giving solutions, in giving predictions, in giving the problem. Because on Wednesday, we're going to talk about more specifically what kind of words we can use to make our meaning clear. Like, for example, if I use should, is should for a problem, is should for a solution, or should for prediction? I want you to see if you can find the words that we use to give a problem, to give a solution, and to give a result. So listen for that. You guys remember you can also flip to the back of your book and look for the listening script. Okay, you can follow that. As you're listening, you can read what the speaker is actually saying. That might help you as well. Okay, so we're looking for specific types of vocabulary words that the speaker uses. Okay, and that is all what you're going to do before Wednesday morning. Okay, then later, like next week, remember we have lab assignment that's due, chapter 3 speech, that's the problem solution speech, and then your chapter 3 quiz is also due next week. Okay, so hopefully that's clear to you guys on what's coming up. If you still have questions after all of this, just send me an email, like I always say, and I'll try to clarify it for you.